and welcome to New Jersey Politics with Laura Jones. I am Laura Jones, and we are so glad to have you here. A heated debate in New Jersey over proposed labor rules that could reshape the lives of freelance workers, independent contractors, and small businesses. The New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development is pushing new regulations to tighten rules that define an independent contractor. It's a move critics say mirrors California's controversial Assembly Bill 5. That law led to devastating consequences for the self-employed, slashing incomes and wiping out flexible work opportunities. Standing by to break it down is Rosemary Becchi, president and founder of Jersey First. First, preparations are underway for the 24th annual commemoration ceremony and candlelight vigil at Empty Sky, New Jersey's official September 11th memorial in Jersey City. Now, this coming Thursday on September 11th, the ceremony is set to be held at Liberty State Park to honor the victims of the 9/11 attacks, including those from New Jersey. Joining us now is Jessica Jamroz, the designer of the Empty Sky Memorial, to share insights about this sacred space and the significance of this annual event. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So as the designer of Empty Sky, can you share what inspired this memorial's design and talk a little bit about this halo of light? It really creates a very, very powerful experience for visitors.
Yeah, the State's Memorial is a product of a design competition that I won in 2004 with the late Frederick Schwartz. It's been a very long process. The memorial still in need of repair and isn't complete. But it is, it's a very special 2-acre site that is, honors all of New Jersey's victims of the September 11th attacks. There are many families that have been fighting to see this memorial complete for many years. So every year we have a ceremony and to pay honor to their lives. This year is special. We have Kevin Schaefer joining us, who is a survivor of the Pentagon attacks, and also was the CIA targeting officer that was part of the core team to track and find Osama bin Laden. Also joining us is Father Michael Duffy, who is brother to Father Michael Judge, and he will be leading us through a candlelight vigil at the site. Yeah. It's a really beautiful place. The experience offers, depending on the weather conditions, the halo of light, which really envelops a sense of warmth and spirituality.
Yeah, this, as you mentioned, it marks the 24th anniversary of 9/11. So can you talk a little bit about how the Empty Sky Memorial, it continues to serve as a place for healing and remembrance for New Jersey's 9/11 families and those survivors?
Yes, it does. And it's important that we remember and come together. Last year, we had a beautiful ceremony that all sorts of people from across the state were there. Responders, survivors, family members, politicians from the state joined us. It was a real sense of warmth and community like I don't think the Empty Sky Memorial has felt in a long time. It's a beautiful event, and I hope that people from near and far join us. It's important that we actually live the words, never forget, not just say them.
Oh, that's for sure. And when you go, when you visit, you do remember, you do feel it's very immersive. This ceremony, as you mentioned, it is including a candlelight vigil. I want to talk a little bit more about that. It's led by Father Michael Duffy, and you mentioned honoring Father Michael Judge. Now that is, if I'm not mistaken, that's the chaplain who was killed.
Yes,
in September 11th. That was an iconic picture that people remember. So can you talk a little bit about how the design of the memorial is designed to enhance that spiritual and communal aspects of the vigil?
It's very interesting that there are currently 18 names that are missing that were victims of the September 11th attacks in 2001. One of the way that this memorial was designed is that it's supposed to be a place to honor all the victims from New Jersey, specifically from New Jersey, so we understand the totality of Jersey's sacrifice. Father Michael Judge, took his vows in New Jersey and spent time in St. Joseph's Parish and West Milford and also in East Rutherford, and really touched a lot of lives across New Jersey. He later became an FDNY chaplain and is very famously victim number one of the 9/11 attacks. We're especially honoring his memory because his name has been left off these walls accidentally with no real intention, but it's, his name will in the future be inscribed at this place. And so we are, Father Michael Duffy is coming to celebrate his life and share his story with us so that his spirit is returned to this place.
That's beautiful. Now the event, you're encouraging people to arrive at 5:30 so you can really experience the atmosphere. So can you talk a little bit about what visitors can expect when they arrive and engage with the space before the ceremony begins?
I expect that there will be a large community coming this year. At 5:30 is when the halo starts to really get at its full power and strength. And it's a really great opportunity to walk amongst each other and connect with not only the memorial and memories of these lives, so with each other. And then there's a ceremony, short, sweet, from survivors and family members, speaking directly, authentically, soulfully about 9/11 and what that means to New Jersey. And then we walk through a candlelight vigil, and it should be a very, very, very beautiful evening.
Now, there are going to be some really powerful moments, the moment of silence at sunset, and you've got performances. So can you talk a little bit about the community involvement and how this design, really works together during the ceremony for such an emotional impact?
Last year, we were very fortunate to have Gloria Gaynor sing the national anthem, and this year there are three triplet sisters, Jersey girls from West Orange, the Piera triplets, who just graduated from West Orange High School and are headed to Rutgers, as I understand. And they are very, 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 very excited to be singing the national anthem this year. Their voices are like angels. There's also honor guard coming from state of New Jersey troopers. Jersey City, Newark is joining us this year. Newark Fire and Jersey Fire also will have big, huge American flags flying.
Yeah.
There
Well,
are many
what's
people.
striking me as I talk, when you have young people, we're getting so far along that some
That's
of the
right.
people performing weren't even alive then, which is, it's hard to get your mind
That is right.
around, for as much
Education
time
is
as
so,
passed.
so important. I mean, and the September 11th attacks was the deadliest terrorist attack on our country. It is so critically important that we educate the youth about what 9/11 meant. And this is why the invited speakers are really, authentic souls that have experienced it. And it's really important for the next generations to understand our history so we don't repeat it.
Yeah.
So that's why I really encourage a lot of younger folks to come. It's very important.
As a designer, can you talk about what it means to you personally to see the community come together each year at Empty Sky to honor and remember those lost on 9/11?
It replenishes my spirit. They say that art is souls, and I think it's easier to understand when you think about a singer or a songwriter instead of thinking about a memorial. But they say that the soul of the artist is connected to the work, and I feel that. I mean, I feel that that the sense of warmth and love every year at the time of a ceremony and a vigil is extremely powerful. And it's always just a kind of a beautiful event in of itself to be together.
Yeah. And I know, this is the 24th anniversary, but, and not to jump too far ahead, but as we're approaching a 25th, a milestone, a quarter of a century, have you started to think about anything you'd like to add or anything you'd like to do for that milestone event?
Well, there are many aspects of the memorial remain to be restored and completed. It's missing its stainless steel on the outside walls. It's missing a tribute in honor of all of those lives that are lost from 9/11 related illnesses. There are many things to do in the next year. I am very hopeful that, people are doing the right things for the right reasons, and that, our our state will have a good, in Jersey will have a good push towards completing its memorial in time for the 25th anniversary. It's important. People don't want to feel forgotten. People have felt forgotten at this site. And so I'm sure that that will be remedied.
Yeah, it's hard to get your mind around for those of us who, we're so close to it, never forget, and time does march on. But thank you so much for pouring your heart and your soul into this, and we appreciate you for sharing this time with us. We really,
Thank
really
you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you so much.
Rosemary Becchi is president and founder of Jersey First. She is here now to talk about proposed legislation that impacts thousands and thousands of workers in the state, the independent contractors. Rosemary, good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Great to see you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. All right, so let's start with the big picture. New Jersey's proposed rules, it's aiming to clarify what's known as the ABC test for independent contractors, which in layman's terms, ABC decides if somebody really is an independent contractor. A, they control how they work. B, is the work outside the company's usual business. And C, they run their own business doing that work. So if we refer to ABC, that's what it is. All right, so, and if one part of that equation isn't true, they're considered an employee. So there are critics, including yourself, that are saying that this is creating confusion, it's risking devastating consequences. So can you talk a little bit about what is going on, how we got to where we are right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what is going on here is that New Jersey's Department of Labor is looking to finalize a set of rules that they've put out there that would make that test basically the law. And it would put onerous standards on determining when somebody is an employee versus an independent contractor. And in the way that they're looking to interpret it, in most industries, if you are a lawyer and you are looking to do a contractor work for a law firm, you would flunk part of the test. And so automatically you would be classified as an employee. And the problem with all of this is, frankly, it creates a situation where somebody's tied to a knife job and can only work for one employer. And there's absolutely no flexibility. And a lot of times, what happens when people are looking to be independent contractors, they're working for multitudes of employers, several different, and they're looking to have flexibility in their hours.
Right, right. Particularly women. A lot of women are independent contractors. Anybody can be an independent contractor, but I know even myself personally, after I had my children, I couldn't work full time, but I had a number of side jobs I was able to do at my own discretion. But this is causing confusion for employers as well as employees, and in New Jersey, this has happened also in California, and that has had some pretty devastating consequences. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, it's had devastating consequences in California. They've seen, a reduction in the number of independent contractors, and frankly, those that were independent contractors and now have to be employees employed as employees, frankly, end up dropping out of the workforce, right? Because again, as you pointed out, I think this is a woman's issue as well, because people are looking for flexibility. In particular, women are looking for flexibility in every field, in service industries, you name it. And so what's happening now is that since they can't get that flexibility, they're forced to drop out of the labor force. And that's not the answer we want. I mean, we really, and especially in New Jersey, we want our workforce to be flexible and to provide people with lots of different opportunities.
Can you talk a little bit about the driving force, why the state is looking to clarify? I mean, I think the state wants to ensure that people are paying their taxes, that you're not getting, cash under the table. So, there could be some good intentions to ensure everything is on the up and up, and also protect employees. But again, those unintended consequences. Can you address that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and look, the intention is to make sure not only that people are paying their taxes, but also to ensure that people are getting the benefits, right, that they're entitled to. But again, when you choose to be an independent contractor, there are other ways to go about getting those benefits. And frankly, for instance, in retirement, there's a lot of opportunities and products and things on the market that allow people to save for their retirement as independent contractors. And there's opportunities to make sure that you are getting health care or you have access to it and stuff. So, that's really shouldn't be the standard. And frankly, in terms of taxes, I mean, we have a whole reporting system that you can track what people are. So that really shouldn't be the concern either, as well. I mean, certainly, as you point out, there are well-intentioned, reasons for people wanting to classify people as employees. But again, I think that all those issues can individually be addressed.
And it's also something that businesses too. It's not just affecting the employees, the businesses. In fact, the National Federation of Independent Businesses called these rules a convoluted classification system. So can you talk about the aspects of these proposed regulations, why it makes it difficult for businesses then to work with independent contractors?
Yeah, it's a little bit for businesses, there's a whole lot of compliance, right? In ensuring that they, have properly classified people. And then there's the kind of the gotcha a little bit from New Jersey's government, the government and stuff. They're looking to move people to employee status. So, there's those concerns as well. And frankly, for a lot of employers, it's not worth the headache. And so they'll turn to other means to, get the work done and things like that. And the other thing I'd love to point out here too is a lot of times when businesses are expanding or looking to grow in certain areas or do certain things, they turn to independent contractors, to help them to achieve, where they're going or satisfy some of the tasks they're looking for and stuff. And so it's an incredible tool to grow a business with, is utilizing independent contractors.
Can you talk about some of the stories that you might have heard? People who might be saying, hey, you know what, these rules can just destroy my career. What are you hearing? What are some of the stories from freelancers or other self-employed professionals in the state of New Jersey, and how this could impact their lives?
So I think I hear from truck drivers. That's a common story that we hear a lot about. A lot of times, folks that drive trucks are looking for flexibility. So they don't want to drive for one company, and they want to be able to make sure that, they can be on the road for so many days, and then they could be home, children and their family. And so a lot of times what they do is they either leave the workforce or they go to another state and move out of New Jersey. So that's a common scenario. And I think, again, I go back to the women. I think a lot of times when women are trying to balance, children and caretaking and things like that with working, I mean, to the extent if you are tied to a 9 to 5 job, then you're not going to be able to be there to pick up your children. And so again, you're seeing scenarios where people leave the workforce, and that's exactly what's happened in California, is that they saw a drop, and they saw people leaving the workforce as a result of implementing these harsh rules.
And then you have women who are not only taking care of their kids, they might be also tending to parents who are aging as well. Now, Governor Murphy has said this is still a work in progress. He wants to hear from the public. There's actually been bipartisan pushback on this, with lawmakers on both sides of the aisle telling the Department of Labor, we need to pause. So can you talk about how this is resonating across party lines and the role the legislature can play in doing what is best for the employees and the employers?
Yeah, so just as you pointed out, lawmakers from both sides of the aisle have come out in opposition to this rule. And I think that's really important. Again, I think that this is not a partisan issue. It is, absolutely a bipartisan one. And I think that, it will be up to the Murphy administration and the Department of Labor in New Jersey to make the decision as to whether or not they're going to proceed to finalize this rule. The comment period has ended. They've heard from thousands of people and thousands of organizations, not only in New Jersey, but across the country. And so it will be up to them to make the decision. If they do finalize it, then I think there's going to be some severe ramifications. But they've got some difficult choices to make here. But I do think it is very helpful that lawmakers from both sides have weighed in on this.
Again, the governor's administration, the Murphy administration, is saying the rules are about protecting workers' rights, ensuring benefits like overtime, workman's comp. So how do you strike that happy medium to ensure that people aren't being taken advantage of, but also need that flexibility that is just critical and so important to why people choose to do what they do?
I think there is a middle ground here, and I do think there is an opportunity to write the rules in a manner that don't completely shut independent contractors out. It's been done across the country. It's being done nationally as well. And so there is a balance that can be struck here. And I think that we just need to continue to encourage the Murphy administration to do that.
Can you talk a little bit about, if somebody's watching this and they're thinking, oh my gosh, this could affect me, how people can make their voices heard, how they can get involved? The governor's talked about public comment. People may not know where to go, what to do. How can they have their voices heard before these rules are finalized?
So I think the most important thing to do is to weigh in with your assembly members and your state senators. I think it's so important that they hear from everyone on this issue and the true impact that it's going to have. Because I do think at this stage that it's really we're at a point, the comment period has closed, and the Department of Labor will tell you that if you will, but they've got some decision making to do. And so I think that the most effective thing to do at this point is to reach out to your state legislature and weigh in on it.
Okay, so final thoughts, Rosemary. If these do go through, what do you see as the long-term impact on New Jersey's economy, small businesses, and its workforce?
I think it's going to have a huge impact. I really do, if these rules go through. And I think it's imperative that we don't let them. The more we constrain businesses, the less likely they're going to be here in New Jersey. And I think that is so important to remember. And it's not a partisan issue. It's about making sure that we are helping our businesses and that our businesses have the flexibility, to compete not only here in New Jersey but across the country. And frankly, they deserve the best workforce. And part of getting the best workforce is allowing them the capability of hiring independent contractors.
Rosemary, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We really appreciate your analysis and insight.
Thanks for having me.
And that'll do it for today. I'm Laura Jones. Thanks so much for watching New Jersey Politics. We look forward to seeing you back here next time.